Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is Rubidium. Today we'll be setting up the Proaim Skywalker, which is a cable cam system that has a lot of different elements. So we're going to do it here in the studio just between these two stands, so we can really focus in on how it gets set up and how you can get the best result from this cable cam. The basic anatomy of the main carriage is that you have three wheels, the two red ones on the side and this power-driven one in the center that has a motor behind here, which connects to a battery. As you can see, it's actually a pretty large unit, and that's because the capacity is quite heavy for the type of cable cam that it is. It'll carry a full-size cinema camera. And also, it doesn't need to just carry the camera. It needs to carry the battery. It needs to carry potentially a follow focus system and a wireless video system. And they'll all go on these 19mm rail system here. But it definitely is a two-person job because, as we'll find out in a second, you need to thread the line that the cable cam is going to run on through it before you tension the line. You can't tension the line and then just hook the cable cam on. The line needs to be threaded through the pulleys to the drive wheel before you can do it. So let's do that now. So I've tied one, I'm just going to use a rock climbing rope for this demonstration, but I've tied one side to one of the stands. I've actually got a solid arm up here keeping these stands from being pulled into each other as we put weight on the rope. I'm going to take one end of the rope, thread it up through the assembly here, thread it between the two wheels here, and then out the other side. So this is how the Skywalker will look once it's between two trees. Obviously, this or between two supports. Obviously, if there's a lot more slack in this system than you have when you actually have it running, but the principle is the same, that it runs under the red wheel, over or between the black and white wheel, and then under the other red wheel. And you'll see at this point, it is tipping backwards because we haven't put the mounting assembly on. So the battery and mounting assembly, the two 50mm rods, go through the little holes here underneath where the camera is mounted. And then you tighten them down with these hex bolts underneath. There are two bolts on this side and there are two hex bolts to secure it on the other side. So the carriage is still unweighted or falling to the side, but once we place the battery on, it sits a lot more flush. I originally had this mounted on here with the Velcro, but I found that, especially with the cable cam moving around, it tended to come loose, so I threaded some elastic bongo ties through the plate, and they hold it a lot better. So now that the battery is on the mounting plate, the balance is a lot more even. So next, what I want to do is mount the camera to the Skywalker. I have my Canon R5 in a cage on the bottom of the Ronin RSC2 with the mounting plate on the bottom of it. So that then threads through this device here. We tighten it down, and then at this stage you can more fully balance the Ronin if you need to tweak it. I want to do as many steps as I can before even powering on the Skywalker because I want to reduce the risk that something will happen and this will just fly away with me while I'm close to it. The reason that you need a gimbal is because if you want to control the motion of the camera while it's going back and forth and be able to aim the camera, you'll need some form of control. And this gimbal is a great way of doing that. So if you want to get video from your camera to a monitor so that you actually see what you're shooting, you'll need something like a Teradek or a Holyland. This is a Teradek bolt, and I've mounted it on a battery plate on 15mm rails. And what I'll do is attach that to the other side. So I'm going to put this on the opposite side of the rails, but in such a way that it doesn't interfere with the movement of the Ronin. So I'll fold the aerials up. Then I'll connect the camera to the Teradek, power the Teradek. I can also power the camera off the gimbal if I need extra juice for that. And we're finally ready to connect our Skywalker to the battery and power it up. So here we have our FlySky controller. I'm going to power up. It'll give me a warning to place all switches in their lower position, which is all the way down on the left side stick. It'll say that it's detected the transmitter, the TX, but not the RX, and that's my cue to plug in the Skywalker. And now I'm detecting RX on the monitor, and it's linked. It's important to have this switch on the sort of Skywalker controller in the up position. So I put a little arrow here to remind me of that. So whenever I start it, this has to be up, the controller goes on first, then the Skywalker unit. How this works is there's a left and a right, and then how high this joystick is how fast it will go left and right. So this is speed and this is direction. So the setup you'll eventually have is a probably Xbox or PlayStation controller to control the gimbal, which you'll have to link through your phone. And you can see videos on YouTube about how to do that. You'll have your Skywalker controller with someone else, and both people will need to watch a remote screen getting a feed from the Teradek. It's probably easier if you have a bigger monitor set up where both people can watch, like a 10-inch display picking up the Teradek, but then you'll need a dedicated receiver rather than an inbuilt receiver and screen. So it's definitely a two-person job. A two-person job to set up, a two-person job to operate at least, and 3 people if you're doing focus as well. Some more safety stuff is this is now a live joystick. So if you were to put this down and knock the joystick, the camera will take off at 40 miles an hour. So you need to be very, very careful how you handle this. What I did between takes was actually switch this off so it's not doing anything. And when you switch it back on, you'll need to place it all the way down, and it will actually pick up, once it's linked in that first time, it will pick up the link again. So it's easier to switch it off between takes than it is to make sure that no one touches it and sends your camera flying. But safer again is to unplug Skywalker from the battery so there's no power being fed to the drive motor, and that's even safer. That's probably what you really want to do. This is a really cool system. I got some really cool shots with it. It really is a way to carry your camera very fast, very safely, much safer than a drone, and much more quiet than a drone, and with probably more control than a drone and less training. Because you can get up to speed with this because it only moves in those 2 directions very, very quickly, whereas a drone can take many, many hours to get the same shots and the same control. That's our look at the setup of the Proaim Skywalker. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.